think we should get this party started. So if you could join me in welcoming Mr. Craig Thatcher to the stage and Chris Martin.
On? Oh, there we go. Hey. Thank you for coming. It's NAMM's 125th anniversary. Isn't that fantastic? When I was on the NAMM board, I had the honor of being the chairman of the NAMM Foundation. And in honor of NAMM's 125th anniversary, I've made a donation to the NAMM Foundation. And if you are so inclined, if you make a donation to the NAMM Foundation, their focus is making more music makers and music education. If you make a donation to the NAMM Foundation, you can do it on your phone, on the NAMM website, I will match your donation. Speaking of democracy, this is an early, quick release of a Martin guitar honoring the semi-quincentennial of our precious democracy, which will occur this summer. Have any of you seen the Ken Burns show on the Revolution? The story he told was not the story I remember in grammar school. We got through it. It's a delicate thing. We cannot take it for granted. I encourage you, as I am seeing now some artists finally speaking up and speaking out. And I encourage all of us to speak up and speak out about this precious thing of ours called democracy. So, Craig, we have some guitars. Okay, so, long story about going to Hawaii with NAMM, and Dick Boak says you have to meet Kylan Reese because Kylan has a theory that there was a guitar that predates the D45, predates the Dreadnought, a custom one-off guitar made for a classically trained Hawaiian musician named Major Kealakai. And Kylan was so excited. I'm like, Kylan, you're on to something. So we made a reproduction, and that's in our line. It didn't have the Dreadnought shape. It had the Dreadnought depth. It was a 12-fret guitar. It was 1914, right? We didn't make 14-fret guitars then. So Tim Teal, my buddy and colleague, thought, what would happen if we took that body and put a contemporary 14-fret neck on it? So that's what this is. There you can see the Dreadnought depth. Would you care to play this?
I'd love to. Thank you.
Craig and I are fortunate enough to travel around the world to tell the Martin story. We need to tell that story in Hawaii.
Yes.
When are we going?
As soon as you say the word.
All right, let's do it. So, is it last year? My daughter Claire is going to Syracuse University, and spring break, and she talking to me about, I might go to Spain with some of my girlfriends in the sorority. And then she calls me up. She goes, I got a better deal. I said, oh, okay, what's the deal? Well, Michaela's dad has a house on the Big Island. So Michaela and I and a bunch of other girls were going to go stay at his house. I said, can I go? She said, oh, Dad, you cannot stay in the house with my sorority sisters on spring break. It was at the Mauna Kea Resort. I said, no, I'll stay at the resort. You stay at the house. So I had a rental car, and there's a wood shop in Waimea. And I thought, all right, Claire's banging around with her girlfriends doing something. I'm going to drive up to Waimea and see what kind of wood they have. I go in, I meet the proprietor, and we get chatting. Yeah, I make guitars. And he goes, yeah, you know, Bob Taylor comes in once in a while. I said, yeah, cool. Do you have any koa? And he goes, yeah, I got a couple sets here. And he shows me the sets, and I didn't even ask the price. I go, sold. How about this guitar, right? Isn't this cool? This is a custom shop guitar made from the wood that I found on the Big Island in Mauna Kea. How about that? And we decided we're going to sell this guitar at the show. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for helping to celebrate NAMM's 125th anniversary.
Thank you.
All right. What do you think so far? Pretty good, right? One more time for Craig and for Chris. All right, we are just getting started. That was just a little taste of what we got so far. We've got more guitars. We've got other products coming. I'll let these guys get those off stage and bring on the new ones. So you can see some of the new guitars right behind me. That's our whole new Road Series collection. And to talk about that and a few other models is our Director of Product Development, Joey Osisic. Joey O, come on up.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you all for being here on behalf of the product team, Fred, Mike George, and Ramin. We're really excited about what we have to show for you. To start with, this will be 2026's 30 years that we've been making instruments under the Road Series moniker. 30 years we learned a whole lot about what the consumer is really interested in, right? And it's about the consumer and the player first. Ramin actually had the great idea. Well, right now the Road Series, there's product in here that has all solid wood, some product with fine veneers, there's cutaways, there's things that are look kind of traditional, but why don't we just split up the entire series into retro and modern? So on the retro side, this is where you're going to find all solid woods, and everything here takes a visual cue from models that we've been making since the late 30s. Very simply, if it says it's a 10, it means it's all satin. And when you get into a 10 Sapele, you can see it takes all the visual cues from a 15. Then we also make a 10 with a spruce top, and you'll notice the addition of aging toner, because what we understood was people really wanted those guitars to look more like what we make in Nazareth. When you get into a 12 is going to take all of the visual cues from an 18, but where you have mahogany on an 18 in Nazareth, you'll have Sapele on the 12 in Navajoa. Then a 13, very simply, looks like a 28, But you'd find rosewood on 28, you'll find black walnut on a 13. And full disclosure, I wasn't the biggest fan of walnut in my pre-Martin life. And when the team explained, you've got walnut all wrong, man. It's got some of the crisp shimmer that rosewood does, and it's got some of the boom that rosewood does. You're going to love it when you hear it on this build. And Ramin really just knocked my socks off with these 13 walnuts. Unbelievable. Then last year we had introduced the Retro Pluses with a mahogany that took visual cues from an 18. So we have the Retro Plus Grenadillos, which is in the rosewood family there and taking visual cues from a 28. Craig, you want to play some guitar?
Sure.
See, what do you want to play? Dealer's choice?
Are we that Super D here, or are we on the this little guy here? Yeah.
So Craig is going to play a triple aught 13E retro to show off that black walnut. Thanks, Craig. All right, and then on the modern side, this is where you're going to find cutaways, find the use of fine koa veneers on the 13s, and there's still some things that tie the retros and the moderns together. 10 still means it's all satin. Once you get into 13s, you get full gloss, get other little hints, white binding and paces, but Ramin thought this was a great opportunity to bring back a couple things that we haven't offered in a while, like a dread cutaway. This is also where the SCs still remain, but we wanted to celebrate that burst on the SC13 on the end there. That is Mescal burst. Our colleagues in Navajoa, they're in the Sonora area where Mescal, which is a very smoky creature, we felt that that burst kind of represented that, and we really wanted to do something to celebrate them and make them feel creatively impacted. Then we're going to talk about the Super Ds. So before you dig in there, a couple years ago we came out with some Super Ds out of our custom shop. And the market, they were super cool. There was a Koa one, there was a Guatemalan one. And the feedback that we got from the market was, can you guys just make an 18 and a 28? So a little later in the game, our master luthier, Tim Teal, was working on it, and I was like, well, you know what, Bluegrasser's Delight, they're going to want to see herringbone. So we have a Super D18 and Super HD 28. Those bodies are 13% larger than a regular Dread from us. That's going to give you 20% more air volume. Kind of the significance there to us is that, yes, it's louder, yes, there's more bass, but you can actually attack the instrument a little softer and have the same volume because of that larger body size and the air volume it's moving. Craig, you want to give that one a spin?
Let's take this one down.
right, there's going to be a surprise coming a little bit later from instruments, but we're going to let Thomas Ripson talk about that. Thank you, guys.
All right, give it up for Joey and the product team. What a great job. All right, first, pay no attention to any forklifts that are hovering over my head. Thomas was going to do a grand entrance where he came in on the forklift, but health and safety said no, so maybe next year. All right, so you saw some great guitars, but we don't just make guitars, right? In fact, for over 50 years, we've been making strings. And what's a guitar without strings except just a pretty box of wood, right? So strings are about as important as it gets. And here to talk about some of our new string products is the man who's in charge of strings at Martin, Brian Hall.
Hello, folks. Yeah, I'm the guy who makes the strings that make all these instruments sing. And no Martin instrument, guitar or ukulele, is complete until it's got a set of Martin strings on it. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple artists that we had the privilege of working with. This year, we've got to work with Eric Clapton himself. On his 80th birthday, we launched a couple new guitars, and we reissued his famous Clapton's Choice phosphor bronze strings that he's been playing for decades. We also got the chance to work with Jason Isbell, and that experience was pretty magical for me. I was new to the company. I've always loved Jason Isbell's music, really tugs at the heartstrings, no pun intended, and we got the chance to develop with him a custom guitar and a custom set of strings. Now, Jason Isbell is pretty demanding about his performance, about his regimen. And one thing that he asked us to do, he said, well, I want a set of strings that will convey the magic of his solo acoustic album, nominated for a Grammy next month, called Foxes in the Snow. And if you've listened to that album, you know it's just Jason and a Martin guitar and 6 Martin strings. And we wanted to convey that magic. He also said, well, I wanted to work with the 017 1940 that I played on the album. I also wanted to convey the new 017 that we just launched this year. Also, the 010E Retro that we launched this year. It'd be great if those strings worked with that guitar, too. Oh, he's got a 1933 0028. It'd be great if it worked on that older instrument, too. And then, Jason Isbell, he has a custom shop, Super D. And we just reissued that Super D today to the mass public. And so we thought, okay, all right, we got our folks in the lab. We're going to come up with something. And he says, okay, one more thing. Could you come up with a string that gives a nod to my home state of Alabama? And he feels very tender about Alabama. And we were, scratching our head trying to come up with some ideas. We sent him a few prototypes. And what this inspired us to do was to develop the Martin era string. Martin era strings, you'll find around the booth, are something that we've been developing with Jason Isbell. Includes a couple other additions as well. But this is what it is. It's a labor of love that's really a nod to the history of Martin guitars, but it's also a nod to the future. Martin era strings, we developed a signature Jason Isbell model. And what we did is we started right from the core wire. And we made a unique core wire for the most demanding players like Jason Isbell and others. It's a little bit more flexible, gives you a little more give. It's great for bends. It's great for reducing fatigue. It helps you get that F bar chord. You know what I'm talking about? It's really tough to do. We actually tested it on that. And we actually added something special to it. We added the lifespan treatment. It's our patented long life treatment that we've been using for decades. It goes on almost every guitar here in the booth. And then we added one more touch, and we said, Jason, we know the official color of Alabama is crimson, right? And here, hard to see, we added a signature silk thread. That's this crimson color. And if you've listened to Jason Isbell sing Crimson and Clay, you'll know what we're talking about. That's that nod to him and to this heritage of our instruments and strings. And that's the new product that we are launching. That we want to share with you is Martin era strings. But there's a lot more. I want to tell you a little bit more about how we make guitar strings. We don't just listen to artists like Eric Clapton and Jason Isbell, we listen to everyday players. And we ask them, what is the one thing that you want us to focus on in developing new strings? And the thing they said is actually written on the outside wall in the sales bullpen. Tone is everything. And that is what gets us up in the morning. That's what makes us make the best strings in the world. And that's what makes us make the best guitars. Appreciate your participation here, and we're very excited to be talking to you about strings. So back to Mike.
Thanks, Brian. Give it up one more time for strings and Brian. All right. So obviously, we've been making guitars for a very, very, very long time. We've been making strings for over 50 years. But do you know what one of our fastest growing business segments is? It's accessories and parts. So here to talk about that today is Hillary Brown.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. So the ALP team, our mission is simple. How do we take the guitar playing experience beyond the guitar itself? So imagine you're playing a D18, sure sounds better when it's tuned, or maybe you just have a terrible voice and you really need to sing in a different key. A capo can help. Needless to say, well, and let's talk about t-shirts. I can't even go to the grocery store without somebody pulling me aside and telling me about their favorite D28 just because I'm wearing a Martin t-shirt. So whether it's guitar accessories, apparel, guitar parts, we find ways to allow our players to live the brand every single day. They may be small, but they are mighty products, and we have quite a few of them to share with you today. We have 4 new collections that I'm going to share with you, and I have some models that are going to help me show off some of the new products, starting with our Custom Shop collection. So the Custom Shop collection, I am wearing the shirt right now, harkens back to the sophistication and the attention to detail that we see every single day from Teresa Hoffman and her team in the Custom Shop, including a strap from the premium details to the premium materials. You know, no detail goes unnoticed in the development of our guitar accessories. It even comes with its own Custom Shop pick. So for the player who wants something that's completely elevated just like their instrument, no better product than our new Custom Shop collection. The next collection that I'm going to introduce is our new Road Series Refresh. I have my Vanna Brad. Thank you. So we really wanted to collaborate with the guitar product managers to figure out a way that we could complement our brand new Road Series Refresh with some really stellar accessories. They're timeless. They feel like a really great pair of lived-in jeans. You know, they take that vintage classic feel that you'll love from the Road series, and instill it into a bunch of great guitar accessories, including our new jacquard and leather-backed brown strap, premium materials, and again, just a vintage look and feel that any Martin fan will know and love. We also have our Modern Heritage collection. So if I could have the crew neck crew out. Don't be shy. Strut your stuff. So we have here black and gold details that are reminiscent of the inlays that we use on many of our premium instruments here in the factory. We wanted to take some of those great levels of detail and put them into a great collection, including a new filigree hat, as well as a crew neck sweatshirt and a Deneen mug. So again, just taking those great classic details that you see in our Nazareth factory and putting them into a new collection that's great for the personality that wants that heritage with a twist. So thank you, crew neck crew. And last but not least, one thing that we get a lot of demand for is the components that come on the guitars themselves. So we are proud to release as of last year and have expanded our line of Martin genuine parts. These are great replacement parts for those who work in service centers or simply want to modify their instruments with parts that come straight from the factory on our guitars, including new vintage tuning machines, as well as a variety of nuts, saddles, pick guards, bridges, you name it. So again, we'll support you along the way so that your guitar lasts for life, and we want to give you the products to do it. So with that in mind, I'm going to hand it back over to Mike. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and Mike, back to you.
Thanks, Hillary. Great job. Awesome. Like I said, fastest growing business segment at Martin, so she's doing an awesome job. All right, we're almost there. We've got 3 guitars, 3 more to show, and also a little surprise at the end. That's all I'm going to say. The only other thing I'll say is please welcome our president and CEO, Thomas Ripsum.
Good afternoon, and thanks for being here. It's great to be back at NAMM, and it's great to talk about all these cool products that we love to talk about. I sit on the NAMM board, and as Chris mentioned earlier, NAMM is celebrating its 125th anniversary, and the mission for NAMM is to create more music makers. And I think in the time we live today, and where the world is headed, making music is something really precious. And I hope you all support making more music makers. That's what we really need to focus on as an industry. And as Martin, we're right here, and we obviously support that. The next guitar I'm going to talk about is another example of our passion for creating guitars. It's a custom shop M Paisley Emberburst. I think it's the first Paisley in the history of Martin guitars, I think. But the way this originated was, I'm a big Paisley nerd, and when you probably think about Paisleys, you think about electric guitars. And I have a few of those, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a Martin Paisley guitar? And not just a generic Martin Paisley guitar, but a guitar that is actually a real Martin guitar. So I talked to our team, and we got to work, and this is the result. That's number 1. So we had the top first. We already knew it would be an M size because we heard from lots of players over the years we should do more M size models, quadruple O's, and this is an M size. But we had a top, and the top came out stunning. So we thought, so what are we going to do with the sides and the backs? Well, we decided maybe curly maple, back and sides, because it adds to the stunning character of this guitar. And then just to round it out, it has a walnut neck, it has LR backs, anthem pickups to capture the natural sound. It's going to be available through our custom shop for a year, because we think this is definitely a collectible, and we hope it's going to excite a lot of people. You want to play it, Greg?
Sure. Do you want to plug it in? Yep. Sure. And last but not least, we're going to talk about 2 brand new signature models. And at Martin, we really love long-term relationships with players that connect with the brand, connect with our guitars, and then actively use it throughout their life journey. We absolutely love that. We also love tradition, and as I mentioned, we also love players that are in the here and now and give us a sense of where the world is going. And
these two signature models we're going to talk about come with an artist that we've collaborated that probably exemplifies the spirit of long-term connection, tradition, future, more than anybody else. She's a Grammy Award winner, multi-Grammy Award winner. She's nominated for another Grammy Award coming up a week from now. She's played with the who is who in the acoustic world. She's a flat picker. She's a great, amazing songwriter and one of the really exciting voices today. And you know, I could probably go on and on to talk about her, but why don't we actually invite her on the stage and hear from her directly. Molly?
I'm so excited. This is my first time here at NAMM, and I've wanted to come for many years, so thanks for bringing me out. And
Excellent.
so exciting to get to play this brand new guitar.
We are very excited to have you here. We're very excited about the collaboration. And Molly, you've had a long connection with Martin Guitars. And let's maybe start with a story you shared with us when we met you, and you talked about your first Martin. Mm-hmm. You want to share it maybe here? It's so beautiful.
Yeah, totally. So I started playing guitar when I was 8 years old, and my father has taught music in the Bay Area in a music store in Palo Alto called Griffin Stringed Instruments since he moved out there from Illinois in the 70s. In the late 70s, he moved out to California, started teaching bluegrass to people all over California, but especially in the Bay Area. And so I grew up going to this music store and just being surrounded by amazing instruments, both like around the house and when I would go into the store where my dad worked. So from an early age, I knew I wanted to play the guitar. And when I was 8 years old, I picked up a guitar for the first time. And I was, you know, my hands were pretty small and I was like a little kid. So my dad brought me home this baby Taylor guitar. And that was my first one. But all my favorite guitar players played Martins. And those were just like the pinnacle for me. I dreamed of playing a Martin and, you know, kind of owning my own Martin someday. So when I got a little older, I kind of, you know, had a couple different guitars. I think I needed a bigger guitar, so I got a Blue Ridge guitar that I really liked too, but I still coveted these Martins. So I started playing shows and playing, even like busking around Palo Alto where I grew up. We would play like on the street corner, me and my brothers and my dad, and any gigs we could find at like the local pizza shop. And I started saving up my money to buy my first Martin guitar. And so I went into the shop, into Griffin Stringed Instruments, and I found one that I really loved. It was a HD 28V, so it had the Adirondack spruce top, and it was the rosewood guitar. And I still remember the serial number because I stared at it so much and I memorized it. It was 997250, and I just looked at it every day. And the store told me, like, if you can save up $2,000, we'll give you a discount. We'll give you a deal on this guitar, and that was a pretty good deal. So I finally, after like a couple of years, I remember I asked my grandparents for Christmas. I was like, all I want is money for my guitar. I think they gave me $200, which definitely helped. And I was just busking. And even I started teaching lessons sometimes to kids, teaching them basic chords and stuff. And so after a couple of years, I had my $2,000. I pulled it out. Some of it was in my bank account that I had. Some of it was just like loose money from busking. I pulled it all and I went into the store with $2,000 in cash. And the people at the store, the owner, Richard, he counted it all up, made sure I had it, and then handed me my Martin guitar. So it was such an exciting moment for me and kind of taught me that if I worked hard, I could achieve these dreams, and taught me the value of these amazing instruments. And so I finally had the guitar that I dreamed of, and I played it for many years, and then I ended up buying I sold it to my aunt, and I bought a vintage Martin when I went to college. And so yeah, it was kind of like my first foray into buying my own guitar. It was awesome, yeah.
What a wonderful story. And so we have two signature models. One is a D18 made in the US, and then we have a DX2E made in Mexico. the inspiration for these guitars were from your 1943 D18.
Yeah.
Why that guitar, and why was that such a great guitar for these ones?
Yeah, so I think we've been talking about and sort of planning out these guitars for the past year. And last May, I bought this vintage Martin. And like I'd said before, I bought an old 40s D18 when I went to college. And then I tried to tour with it, and it was just hard to, take it on the road because it didn't have a truss rod. And I felt like I was sort of doing the guitar a disservice by, traveling with it so much, and it was getting this wear and tear. So I ended up selling it, and I've played newer guitars ever since. But when I recorded my album about a year ago, a little over a year ago now, I was just missing that vintage sound. So I decided I wanted to get a studio guitar and kind of like get my dream guitar to keep at home mostly and play on recording sessions and on my own record. So I found this amazing 43 D18, and I knew I wanted a 40s Martin because I love the 40s style necks, and the 1 11/16 necks are just really comfortable for me. And I just so happened to find a D18 that I loved. It has like the perfect kind of balance of the dry D18 kind of focused tone that I love in the studio, but it's also really resonant and has that vintage sound to it. And I just totally fell in love with this guitar. So I emailed Thomas and the folks at Martin, and I was like, hey, it would be cool to incorporate some of these vintage specifications into the signature model, and we were kind of midway through planning it. So then we shifted a couple things around. We landed on changing it to mahogany, and then a couple of the other features were more in line with the vintage style of guitar building. The rear shifted bracing and the neck width. And you were saying that this is the first time they've done a DX model with the kind of 40s style neck, the thinner neck and the V-shaped neck. So that was exciting for me to get to be a part of that. And I think I love those necks because when I was a kid, my dad had a 40s Martin around the house, and it was my favorite guitar to play when I was practicing. So I just got used to that neck shape and style, and it's really comfortable. I think it's just a little slimmer than the 30s necks to me feel so big and just kind of, I don't know, it's hard to wrap my hand around them sometimes.
Yes, you made these guitars truly yours, which is beautiful. And even if you look at the inlays, the moon phase inlays, can you talk about that? That's very personal.
That was a fun thing we thought of. I think we were in the Martin showroom in Nashville and talking about just like any special design features. And I had never, kind of worked on something of this scale before. So I was just trying to think what I would want to make it into. And I was looking around and I saw this Johnny Cash signature model guitar, and it had stars for the fret markers. And then I thought it could be really fun to do moons. That kind of inspired that idea. I have a lot of songs that, mention the moon. I feel like the moon is very tied to creativity and inspiration. And I love that as you go up the frets, the moon kind of materializes from a new moon into a full moon, and it kind of helps you keep track of where you are on the guitar. So I thought that was a fun, and I hadn't seen any guitars with that before. So we all got excited. And we're like, let's do it.
Very exciting. And we mentioned the Mexico model, the DX2E. I think one thing that you were intentional about was you wanted to create models that also can make it into many players' hands, make it more accessible. Can you talk about kind of your thoughts behind that?
Yeah, well, I love having the DX model that's like a little more affordable for more people who like, whether they want a guitar just to play for fun or to play on stage. Like, it sounds so good, you can really take it anywhere. And like I was telling in that story, like I kind of, grew up playing different types of guitars. Some of them were a lot more affordable, and I think it was nice for me to have those stepping stones to really kind of, start on a smaller one and then just slowly build up to the guitar that I saved up for and that I kind of dreamed of. So for me, it's always important that anyone who, wants to own a great instrument can have access to it. So I love having the DX models that's just a little more kind of available for people.
That's great. And you have many, many fans out there, and they will be very excited to have them available. So we have these two models, your models. If you think about the players that may get them into their hands, what do you hope these guitars will unlock for them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope that these can unlock, new ideas, new kind of sources of inspiration for people. I feel like anytime I get a new guitar, I instantly want to, see what ideas it holds and see what new songs I could write on it. And just having this one in my hands today, I haven't really gotten to play these. I've played them a little bit, but it's just exciting to have this new instrument, and I'm finding myself like playing different stuff that I wouldn't normally come up with. So I hope it can unlock some of that for other people. And they're definitely kind of like the dreadnought style that's really popular in the bluegrass world. So I hope people take them to their local jam sessions,
Totally. That's what we need.
Yeah,
Yep.
take them to your local bluegrass festival.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for your honesty and for sharing a little bit kind of the thinking behind these guitars and what's important to you. We are very excited to be working together. The collaboration has been wonderful.
Yeah.
I know we had various sessions, and there was a natural flow to creating these guitars together. So a big thank you.
Thank you.
And since we have Molly here, and we want to hear how these guitars actually sound, because it is about the tone, why don't you play a little bit for us?
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
Take it away.
Blow your mind. Each time you hear that whistle blow, I'm smuggling in another load. Riding on the San Joaquin, bringing in some Humboldt green. I'm just rolling down the line, looking for the next hot time. Riding on the San Joaquin. Banging on the boxcar door, brakeman threw me overboard. Hit the ground and clicked my heels, off back in Bakersfield. Riding on the San Joaquin, bringing in some Humboldt green. Watch out for that bully, he'll take your pockets clean, toss you into Hatchapee. When I get to Richmond, I'll be gold, soon as the suitcase is sold. Till then I'm rolling down the line, looking for the next hot time. Riding on the San Joaquin. Well, the railroad queen, she wants to ride, I ain't ready to go. Got a few more hearts to break till I reach the end of the road. Riding on the San Joaquin, fastest you ever seen. And when my riding days are o'er, toss me in the baggage car, put that beaver in the mouth, spark it up and send me south. Riding on the San
Thank you.
under that Chickasaw ground, Rosalie, you better run before they hunt you down in Tennessee. Damn that deputy, 'cause a jealous heart ain't worth the cost of hanging from the gallows tree. What if they find out just who fired the gun? Rosalie, you better run. More thorn than rose, how oft they'd say of the girl with the golden hair. charm the hearts of the best bootleggers. Hello, crime moved in on the bluff. We laid the law down a little too rough. Busting every cake and still till he fell in love with that whiskey gal. I can't have her, no man will. Rosalie, you better run before they hunt you down in Tennessee. Damn that deputy, 'cause a jealous heart ain't worth the cost of hanging from the gallows tree. What if they find out just to fire the gun? Rosalie, you better run. What if they knew Miss Betty Lou had seen him at the dance that night? What if they noticed Otis Johnson begging him not to fight? What if they heard his final words laying by a cypress tree? Rosalie, Rosalie. Off a no-name road on Chickasaw Bluff lives a wise old woman with a whiskey jug. Some say saint, some say killer. They never could prove who pulled that trigger. Need those cypress roots that wine. The secret died with Bill O'Brien. Follow her to the depths of hell. Mix love and whiskey, it won't end well. Sometimes you can hear him yell, Rosalie, you better run before they hunt you down in Tennessee. Damn that deputy, 'cause a jealous heart ain't worth the cost of hanging from the gallows tree. What if they find out just who fired the gun? Rosalie, you better run. Rosalie, Rosalie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Thanks again for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
I think we're going to head to the Global Media Days soon, but I think you're open to one or two questions from the audience.
Yep.
Anybody a question?
Advice for finding alternate tunings or for learning? Oh, yeah, writing originals and alternate tunings. Yeah, I mean, for me, when I'm writing songs, sometimes I even like start in standard and then, like this one when I wrote it, it was in standard tuning, that last one I played. And then I thought, oh, it'd be so fun on clawhammer guitar, but I pretty much always go into an open tuning for clawhammer, so then I had to figure out, I don't really know my way around dadgad that well, so I kind of had to figure out how to play the chords in this tuning, but that can be like one of the cool things about playing in a tuning you're not familiar with. You just kind of move your fingers around and try to make something up. Other times when I've written songs in alternate tunings, it's almost like gets me out of my usual tricks that I use in standard. I just find these chord shapes that I didn't even know existed. Half the time I couldn't even tell you what chords I'm playing in alternate tuning. So yeah, I think just experiment. I remember Joni Mitchell was someone who I learned a bunch from because she uses so many alternate tunings. And I had a teacher when I went to music school. I was at Berkeley for a couple of years and had a teacher who had a binder of all her open tunings. So that was kind of my introduction.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Something to discover, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Molly. Just wondering if you look for any different qualities in a guitar that you might use for flat picking versus for clawhammer. Is it the same guitar? Are you looking for different things in different instruments for those different styles?
Yeah, sometimes like when I play live, I switch to like a different guitar for clawhammer that can get a bit like louder in a live setting, almost like a more electrified sound, just because I feel like a lot of the rhythmic stuff gets lost with a full band. When I'm playing solo, I think it's nice for me to have slightly lower action on the clawhammer guitar. So like this one feels comfortable because the action is actually a little bit lower on this one than on the other one. So I really like it for kind of being able to, you know, like slap the strings a little bit, and it just makes it easier on my hand to have lower action. So I think just kind of louder in a live setting with a band, and then overall just I like lower action for a claw hammer. Yeah.
Break that claw hammer technique down just a little bit right there.
Sure, yeah. So the claw hammer technique, basically I don't know if this is how they came up with the name claw hammer, but for me I'm always like, yeah, your hand kind of goes into this claw shape. And my index finger and my middle finger, these are like new strings, so you can see my hand is sort of like black wherever I'm playing the claw hammer style, but my index fingernail and middle fingernail are hitting down, usually on the higher strings, and when that happens, my thumb is catching on one of the lower strings, and when my hand comes back up, the thumb plucks the string, so. And it's normally done on the banjo, but I learned that you could just kind of take that technique and apply it to the guitar. When I was a teenager, this guy in the Bay Area showed me that you could play clawhammer guitar, and I thought that was really cool because I played clawhammer banjo, and then it was easy to transfer it over to the guitar. But the basic kind of rhythm that a lot of people start out with is called the bum diddy pattern, so that would be. So just every other time you hit the strings, your thumb plucks.
Maybe two more?
Sure, yeah. I only play electric occasionally. I'm so much more comfortable on acoustic guitar. When I pick up an electric, it feels like this whole other instrument to me, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so loud all of a sudden. I'm not used to having sustain. So I think just having a different touch, like a lighter touch, especially coming from bluegrass guitar, I hit the guitar pretty hard, so that's really different from what you play on, how people play on electric. I remember when I used to play electric a little bit more, I was constantly breaking strings just because I was hitting it like it was an acoustic guitar, so I sort of had to learn to back off a little bit. But yeah, I think these days that's been one of my goals for a while, is to get better at electric guitar, but I still don't. It's totally outside my comfort zone, so I'll play it for fun around the house, and then occasionally I've played it on stage, but it's not what I'm the best at, but I'd like to get better at it. Yeah.
But you're also exceptional on the double neck.
Oh, the double neck, yes. They surprised me with, have you seen the Martin double neck? It's crazy. I've been playing it in my shows since I got it last fall. It's been so much fun. At first I was like, I don't know if I can do this. It's a lot of strings to tune, and then when I switch necks, it's like hard to get to the right string, but you kind of get used to it, and it's been so much fun.
You definitely can do that. Yeah.
Molly, I know you've been playing a lot of shade top guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Is the 43 that this is based off of your actual ones in shade top as well, or is that just your choice to have shade top?
Yeah, this is kind of like a hybrid of the 43 that I bought that's not a shade top, and then just the guitars I've been playing on stage for years now, because for whatever reason, like, I remember when I was a kid, I didn't like sunburst guitars that much. I was really kind of like a purist about, no sunburst, and then I just gradually started to really like them, and now I feel like they're so pretty, and it's kind of unique in a way. Like this one, I love the dark sunburst, and that's kind of what I've gravitated towards. And so, yeah, my vintage Martin that it's based on isn't a sunburst, but I just kind of like having that little unique look to it. It feels like me, because I've been playing them for so long now. Yeah.
Awesome. Let's give another round of applause for Molly. I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
One more time for Molly. Unbelievable. All right, we're almost there. We have one more thing. Mr. Martin opened the show with the Semi-quincentennial guitar. We're going to close the show with the Semi, and Chris has a few things to say before Craig comes up and plays it. Chris, come on up.
How cool was that, right? So, how many bluegrass guitar players does it take to screw in a light bulb? 5. 1 to screw it in, and 4 to stand there and say, I could do that. Craig?
Yeah.
Can you take us out on something?
I will try. About one more round of applause for Chris Martin and Molly Tuttle. So Chris asked me if I could play something patriotic. with this guitar. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on me and crowned my good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crowned my good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Thank you very much. Enjoy your NAMM 2026.